You posted 961 times in 69 weeks. I did the math that it basically comes down to 2 posts per day, 7 days a week.
I'm a team of one so far at Clay on the social side.
Wow. So now that you need to hire people, what's your best guess on how you will identify taste and test for taste in people?
There's more signal here than noise than most platforms, especially for B2B.
What does that mean for the type of content you create on LinkedIn versus TikTok? Like, how should that, what you just said, inform how you're creating content on LinkedIn differently to other places?
When I read your content, does it feel the same as if I were to meet you and talk to you in person? That's kind of what I'm talking about with authenticity.
You promised people in the comments to share this fat 5-page prompt. I haven't seen that yet. So what's in there? All right, before we dive in, you're listening to the Executive Brand Podcast with me, your host, Finn Thalmeyer. Each week, I sit down with top B2B CEOs, executive, and founders to break down their playbooks. If you've not yet, it would really help if you subscribe or follow the show because it helps us get on better guests and create better content for you guys. All right, let's dive in. All right, I'm here with Peter Kang, who is running social at Clay. Clay is a GTM engineering platform. They recently raised a $100 million Series C at a $3.1 billion evaluation. Now, the reason why I wanted to have Peter on this podcast is, boom, this post you wrote a couple of weeks ago, Peter.
Yeah.
Where you said, I posted 961 times on behalf of Clay to grow the account from 14,000 to 100,000 followers in exactly 69 weeks. Here's what I learned, build conviction on. So you wrote down a couple lessons and I want to break it all down. First of all, how many impressions did that post get?
I don't think it's quite hit 100K yet. I haven't looked in a little while, but I think it's like 70, 80K. Yeah.
That's very impressive. It's kind of cool. You wrote a post about like blowing up the company page and it goes viral. Now, first of all, why even build the company page? Shouldn't you only care about the people's, your CEOs and your founders' profiles on LinkedIn?
Yeah, I mean, great question. I think by now most people that are on LinkedIn, B2B social, understand that there's more bang for your buck building founder content or people-led content. LinkedIn has also nerfed or like shot down the amount of reach that company pages get. So it's both organic and hard algorithmic that company pages aren't going to be as performant. For a company like Clay, I think this is true of all companies, but especially companies like Clay, where we very much care about the brand. We're very brand forward and we're very community forward. What I've seen with, I think about like jobs to be done, like what is the right tool for the problem? The company page is very good for showcasing behavior and elevating behavior that you would want from the community. So that can be in terms of energy and vibe and brand voice. That can be in terms of being very selfless and helping others. It can be in the form of elevating creativity or innovative workflows that people are building through Clay. And sharing that. So when we get a fundraise, when we land in Forbes for top 100 something or other, that credibility, that energy aggregates to the brand, the logo, right? So we can then use that as a stamp of approval to say, hey, I'm going to share this social currency with you for the people that are also generating great content, generating hype, generating energy for our ecosystem. So yeah, I think LinkedIn, I come from a consumer background. LinkedIn is very interesting because I think it's the only platform where not every follower, not every like is created equal. We're quite literally mapped to our status and wallet size in the real world. So while the Clay page is not the optimal tool for reach and net new eyeball acquisition into the ecosystem, it is a great tool for giving high status, high value stamps of approval to different parts of your ecosystem to like really fan the flames of the flywheels that you want. Yeah.
Have you seen any discrepancy between the kind of people who follow Kareem or Varun or the people at Clay versus the Clay page? Or is it the same amount of people? the same people?
Yeah, I think there's a healthy overlap, but and frankly, I haven't quite dug into the nitty gritties, so this is a little bit more anecdotal. I think you get a healthy overlap of both, but where you see a lot more movement on Varun or Kareem's page, for example, Varun is going to lean CROs, head of sales, and because he's a head of ops, like COOs as well. A lot of execs are going to engage there. You're not really going to get, high like leverage or high impact decision makers like super engaging with the clay page.
Yep.
You will get power users
Managers,
in the community,
leads.
yeah, and then the end users and the managers, right?
Hmm.
And then Kareem, I would say similar. We haven't activated Kareem quite as much, quite yet. Varun is kind of our
Yep.
V1 of like, how do we really want to think about founder-led content? That's been really fun. Kareem, I think will lean a little bit more product, a little bit more eng, and a little bit more, I think less tactical, perhaps like more thought leadership, like strategic. Varun has been very, very tactical, very human, very, very in the room.
I'm loving the new videos with your, I forgot the name, your head of finance.
Yeah, the Varun and Karan videos are crushing it.
It's insane because those are long videos. It's like, I think
Yeah,
one
yeah,
was like
yeah.
8 minutes long or something.
Yeah. I filmed that and I was like, how do I cut this down to 3 minutes? And then because there's all these like soft rules of
Yeah,
content.
best practice. Yeah.
Exactly. And I watched it and I was like, I think people will watch this.
I
This is
watched the whole
actually
thing.
very compelling. Yeah.
I commented
Uh,
underneath. I think this is the longest video I've ever watched on LinkedIn front to end.
yeah. And shout out to your most recent post. I was reading it on the way to work this morning. It's just like people are crushing it doing anything and everything. There's people who crush it with like long posts, short posts, all these indents, one big block of text. Really, it's about like, do you understand your audience? Do you have a sense of the pulse on what is noise and what would be counter to that noise? For us, what's counter to what's on our feeds is like executives aren't making videos still. Like there's so much alpha there. And when they do make videos, they're over polished or over produced. So I intentionally underproduce those and make sure that the editors aren't doing too much. And the conversations are very raw. And credit to Karn and Varun, they're just very interesting, authentic, fun, but highly articulate people,
Yeah.
highly intelligent.
Yeah, we'll link those in the show notes. Now, on the company page, growing it from 14K to, I actually checked this now, it's over 120,000. So you added almost 20,000 in the last 4 weeks. How would you quantify the impact, benefit, ROI? It doesn't need to be dollar amounts, but how has it impacted Clay having a much bigger account now and having grown that?
Yeah, I'll say like the followers are a lagging metric for sure. And it's more so shows us that we're doing the right things. But it's LinkedIn, like we fundraised like 3.5 times in the last 12 months. And I can double click on that if that's interesting. But that in itself is going to wholesale acquire a lot of people. When you as a user of LinkedIn think about when you follow a company, it's relatively rare for people. It's probably because you care about a hot new startup that's like ripping and you want to follow along. Either that or it's like one of the names to follow, like OpenAI, or you really love the company. And we try to get benefit from all of it. The followers just show us that our inputs are good. Are we doing the right things from a business side? Are we doing the right things from like a content on the platform side? And again, like LinkedIn is unique in that like we can look at the follower distribution and say, what is the percentage of people that follow us that are ICP, that are VP of whatever at X type of company? You can get that breakdown fairly easily. And is our follower growth good? Is our ratio of target accounts good as we scale? So that's really what more we keep track of. One of my first lines on the post is like, followers are a vanity metric, but vanity matters in a lot of the world. But I do think it's a vanity. I do think ultimately it's a vanity metric. I care a lot more about month-over-month engagements and impressions.
Okay, let's go through the post now. All right, so first of all, before we go through the lessons, you posted 961 times in 69 weeks. I did the math that it basically comes down to 2 posts per day, 7 days a week. Who created
No
all
way,
these
does
posts?
it?
Is it all you, or who do you have
Yeah.
a team? Like, who created 2 posts per day, 7 days a week over a year?
Yeah. Wow. I thought it was less than that, but I guess I was a machine for a while. Yeah, this is why we're hiring because I will say it's not, maybe it's sustainable, but it's definitely not scalable. You know, I'm a team of one so far at Clay on the social side.
Wow.
I've been running the Clay LinkedIn since I joined 18 plus months ago. Now we're activating Varun's account. And then we, of course, want to scale and do that across our executive team and then build a scaled program for employee advocacy. Some people call it, that's such a boring way to call it, but like getting more people to post on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
I would not have been able to do this. I'm new to this job. This is the first time I'm a marketer. My background's in finance and ops. I come from a consumer background. So I think a part of it was that like I didn't know that this was kind of an unreasonable thing for one person to like go after.
I think it also includes probably the reshares. I saw that you guys do quite a few reshares where people tag people. I don't know if that's counted, like when you share Yasi and Varun's
You know what it
post
might be
here.
is that I will confidently say like there were months at a time where I did 10 posts a week. I'm guessing we haven't really done inorganic. We haven't really done paid on LinkedIn, but there are like a couple dozen throughout the last year and a half that we tested. My guess is that those count. I don't think reposts without like adding a thought, I don't think count. So I did post a lot.
Yeah. So it's all you. That's very impressive, obviously. Now, how would you break down the different types of content? I mean, I'm scrolling here, people see it. You do a lot of reshares, so I think that's obviously smart. When people talk about Clay, mention Clay, you guys reshare that, give people love. I think that's amazing. You obviously also have a very thriving ecosystem of users on the back end of that that's allowing that. You're resharing your own, founders' content, stuff like that. But then there's also, original stuff. You're obviously promoting events. Here's an actual post by Clay that got 100 likes. You don't see a lot of company posts get 100 likes. Here's another one talking about some event, I guess.
Yeah.
I also saw like there's some one-liners in there where here's a behind the scenes. I think that's kind of cool. So this is like the team. I don't know if you have content pillars, if you have like a resource library where you go back to when you're out of ideas and you're like, oh, today I could do another, this, and tomorrow I could do one of those. But how would you break down kind of the different types of content that you're sharing on the Clay page?
That's a good question. And I will say the last 2-3 months of content on the company page probably isn't the best place to look. I think our content portfolio was really healthy like Q1, Q2 of this year. And that's simply because I'm a one-man team and I'm starting to do a lot more, and why we want to hire here. But I think what a healthy portfolio would look like for us is having a good distribution of culture/life at Clay content. We are trying to hire a lot of people. A healthy amount of community advocacy and community highlighting. We're a very grassroots, community-forward company. And then, of course, product is a huge pillar. There's release marketing, but then there's also, what are like use cases, customer stories, things like that. And then we do a good amount of, other than like program promotions, which for me are a little bit boring. We do a lot of brand content. So interesting shenanigans, and interesting video storytelling to win the mind share and stay relevant, top of mind for people in our ecosystem, water cooler fodder. Yeah.
So culture, life at Clay, this is kind of for hiring, recruiting, community advocacy, highlighting of people. Then there's product, there's customer stories, and then there's kind of this brand content. Funny videos are sometimes there. You obviously do promote like a webinar that might be coming up sometimes, stuff like that. Okay. Fair
Yeah.
enough. Let's
I think
go through the lessons here.
yeah, that's it.
We talked about followers, a vanity metric.
Yeah.
Second point, video wins. This feels like free alpha on LinkedIn. Can you expand on this a little bit?
Yeah. I think everyone in the founder-led content, like LinkedIn creator space, has been saying this for at least 2 years, 3 years. I don't know. Video, it just gets a longer tail. It just gets higher engagement. It's actually not that hard. Maybe it's easy once you start doing it.
How did you come up with this idea? Like just the idea of like you two are gonna sit down and you're gonna break down like
Yeah.
why we should or should not invest this money into this marketing experiment.
Yeah, good question. I will give Varun more of the credit there. I think Varun knew that Karan would be compelling on camera with him. They're friends from college as well. Like they've been on and off like friends for a long time, or maybe not on and off. They've been friends for a while.
Yeah.
Varun is super high energy, but Karan can also be very like Karan meets his energy in a very eloquent and different way.
Did you know
And
that Karan is good on video? Because you wouldn't expect that from a head of finance, but it works so well.
yeah, I did not know quite where it would go, but I've seen the two of them bicker and banter and like give each other shit. I knew there was something there. And Varun has been asking us to like get him on camera as well. So we booked some time, threw it on camera. And Varun does have a good instinct of what people would find interesting. And when you're starting to work with execs on founder-led content, there's a light bulb switch that goes off where they start to, think of like something happens in their day and they start to log it in their, folder of like, oh, I should bring this up. And continually like downloading those nuggets into, training them to like DM you or like send it to their EA or something so that you can have a running list. I think is really helpful. So whatever feels, we just throw a few ideas from that list up in the air, and if whatever feels exciting and authentic in the moment, we rip it out. And yeah, we have a few more of these in the chamber, and yeah.
So
we'll see
this was not like scripted, I guess. This was you knew what you were gonna discuss. Was this a one take thing, or did you guys do multiple?
Yeah, one take.
Wow.
We don't do multiple takes. We basically say like, hey, let's talk about marketing ROI, generally about billboards. Let's make sure to say a few numbers.
Yeah.
We are working with Alec Paul, who I think you've had on as well.
Yeah, of course.
Who's giving us great pointers as well. But I really think the magic is in Varun and Karan's chemistry together and them as people. The only thing that I think Alec and I did was know that we can just point a camera at it. Can we try and capture this lightning in a bottle and just share it online? And can we do it, in a thoughtful way that the content, how it feels, maps to Varun's brand that we want to build? And does that also does that make sense within the ecosystem of larger Clay brand that we want to build?
Yeah. Now I know we're veering off a little bit from the company page, but why did you guys decide? Because you mentioned you're activating him now. Why now? Like, why not a year ago, 2 years ago?
Yeah, good question. I think, honestly, the answer is, I don't know. Why not now? I guess
most people would have done it much earlier, right? I mean, a lot of founders start doing this sort of stuff, like literally to get their startup off the ground. You guys just raised a massive Series C.
Yeah. Yeah, in that sense, I think it was because we had the benefit of the tailwind of community UGC and our community. I think our go-to-market has been very community-led. We have a lot of OGs, like agency founders and CEOs using Clay agencies that have been advocating for us on LinkedIn for a long time. So we were getting kind of what we needed to do on the company page done. But now, with like limited resources, right? Like our when I joined, the marketing team was 3 people. I was the 3rd person. And it stayed that way for a good amount. I think maybe 9 months, 12 months out of the last 20 I've been here.
Yeah.
And now that we're growing, like we can actually think about how do we scale this motion across all our execs, across more of a scaled program for support as well.
Yeah, love it. All right, so video is one of the ways to, incorporate humanness and fight AI slop.
Yeah.
Hiring tech people with taste is hard. Expand on that.
Yeah, taste, people haven't talked. I used to call it like having an eye, but I
Mm-hmm.
guess taste is the way people talk about it. I thought that everyone had this so I started creating TikTok content during COVID. We all had our COVID hobbies, and I went immediately viral. And I told all my friends to just get on TikTok because it's so easy. And it wasn't until I saw their content where I realized like, oh, it's not obvious to people that you should make the cut here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funnier if you cut here instead of a second before or after. Or like this doesn't work unless you put a caption that feels like this.
Right.
Yeah, I think
Could
there are
call it
people.
intuition too.
Yeah. I think it's an intuition for story, for attention, for. I think about like empathy at scale a lot. Can you like kind of empathize with the like a mass of people watching this?
Mm-hmm.
And really, it's just like, can you pretend that you are not the one that produced it and like watch it with fresh eyes? And if you have good taste, you kind of know what you like, what you don't like, when you will churn off of a piece of content, and then you can just change that.
So now that you need to hire people, what's
Yeah,
your best guess on how you will identify taste and test for taste in people?
yeah. This is something that I've frankly been struggling with. Like as I've thought about scaling our like creative teams, we recently hired this guy named Jake, absolute killer, and his answer was awesome. It was like you got to kind of steal people, because you can steal people from other amazing people with taste in tech from other tech companies, but I do think it's relatively small, like very, very small world. You can also steal a lot of talented people from media that are getting paid much, much, much less. Now, there are people that don't want to touch B2B, with a 10-foot pole. Like that's why they're in media or in consumer. But I think B2B brands are also learning slowly, and I like to think that Clay is one of the brands like leading the charge on, no, there is a place in B2B for people with taste, people with videography
For
and
sure.
storytelling skills, for scripters and producers, all these things, and in a way that they're not a second-class citizen. And I think you're starting to see this. I'm starting to see job descriptions around like storyteller, video storyteller. Andreessen's launching this whole thing with Mr. Torenberg with their like new media boot camps and stuff like that. So you see, 20 VC, you see Diary of a CEO. There are these like media-led VC ecosystems, right? So not every B2B company, especially if you're a point solution, needs a YouTube channel or a podcast network. But if you're an ecosystem company like Clay, where we have 150 integration partners and growing, when we have an ecosystem of co-selling agencies, totally makes sense to centralize a studio, co-marketing, podcast, media, YouTube channels motion, right? Like, I don't think I need I don't know. I'm trying to. What's a random Slack? I don't need a YouTube channel. Maybe it's not obvious to me that I need to watch a TV show on YouTube about Slack.
Sure.
But I would watch a Jubilee style format, or Wired or Wall Street Journal explainers or Vox explainers, where we have CROs from our best companies come through. I would watch that on the weekend. I'm a nerd, but so are our prospects and users.
Which other B2B companies come to mind that have taste?
So,
If any.
yeah, I think Air is killing it right now. Is it Air or AirOps? Air is killing it. It's like the SaaS for like creatives.
It's actually not ringing a bell.
Yeah, they're relatively new to the block, but yeah, it's just called Air, Creative Ops Platform. They just dropped like a partially AI vertical organic ad placement with the Rizzler, like the Costco boys, or I think that's them. Anyway,
No.
Air is crushing it with taste.
Okay.
And I'm glad they are, because if you're a company for creatives, your creative better be good. Once Clay starts sending cold emails, they better be freaking good, right? I think their creative video assets and storytelling are best in class. It hasn't really had the scaled impact on customers yet, but I think the creatives in other B2B companies are taking notice. I would say from like a scaled perspective, I think HubSpot has done a really good job of creating a media ecosystem. I am less plugged in. I'm not quite sure where their strategy is now, but I think they were very early to the game of building media ecosystems, and pretty much social media.
Gong, I guess, one generation after.
Yeah, maybe. But like they were really early to the podcast game, for example.
Yeah.
And what that does is it like 10x is the surface area of your top of funnel. And now that we have AI, now that we have all these social listening tools, that's all signal. So
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, next point. Product is king. 3.5 funding announcements. By the way, I'm assuming these 3 massive spikes are your 3 funding announcements.
Yeah, that's correct.
So you said actually earlier, you mentioned we could double click on the fundraise. So is this strategic to have more frequent fundraisers?
Yeah, it's it's a kind of a running joke. It's like, hey, can we have a fundraise every quarter? Because it does help with deal velocity. It helps with it's a tailwind to everything. I think what I was trying to get here was that social or marketing success is downstream of product and company success, downstream of PMF, downstream of our early investment in brand. I think Varun was very intelligent hiring. Like I think I was like hire number 30. Like what company hires social that early? And the brand team was hired even before I was. So it's a nod to that this isn't like I couldn't do this at any company. I think Clay would have gotten to 100K without me. Could I have taken another company to 100K as fast? Maybe.
Maybe not as fast. Maybe you would have gotten it there.
Yeah, I think like maybe I got it here a few months faster than another person could. I think the value is in the feel that people associate with Clay's presence on LinkedIn, and I'll take a little credit for that. So yeah, I think product is king, but I do walk this back a little bit. So a few people challenged me in the comments and talked about how in B2B, like risk aversion often causes executives to purchase the safer feeling product over the better product. And I think there's something to that, but I think that's a different point than what I'm trying to cover in this point.
Yeah. Anything meaningful to say on like copywriting? What's good copy?
Nah, that was just me venting. But what's good copy? I think from a 101 perspective, if you're like just starting out on LinkedIn copywriting, I think there's this thick layer of unlearning that people have to do. People don't even realize that they go into autopilot sales jargon mode. Anytime I'm like, hey, can you give me like some sample copy for this? They come back to me with game changer, revolutionary, can't wait to see what you build. We're just getting started. Another good, they
so
come back,
thrilled to announce.
Yeah, exactly. Or here at Clay, we like to,
Right.
There's a lot of, we've grown up with so much marketing jingles downloaded to us that we think we need to approach copywriting that way. And similarly, imagine asking, hey, can you write a LinkedIn post to Claude or Chat without any prompting? It gives you a similar generic marketing jargon, right?
Yep.
Our brains are already doing this pre-AI. Our brains do a very similar thing.
Well, AI is, let's not forget who AI is trained on.
Exactly. All of us, right? Like, it just gives you the median quality post unless you ask it for something better. And I think you need to ask yourself for something better. Would you talk like this? Are you like, you go up to a person at lunch. How are you saying this? I think that's where I would start. And then depending on how high quality, high density you want the post to be, I try to always play the exercise of, is this word diluted? Has this been overused to the point where it doesn't mean anything? I'm going to pick a different word. Or can I cut certain words and it still achieve what I'm trying to achieve in terms of feel or concept, relaying the concept. Yeah.
Now, the next one you need to explain to me. So you wrote, the physics of LinkedIn is fundamentally different. TikTok spikes on reach, YouTube on long tail, Discord on many-to-many node strength, aka community. LinkedIn spikes on data, only platform where each engagement is quantifiably different. Most media runs on CPMs. LinkedIn can run on ACV. Explain.
Yeah, I could probably talk about this for a whole hour. I would want to whiteboard out a lot of things. So I started, I was a media analyst at a bank. So I was thinking about content strategy back then. Then I was at Hulu doing content evaluation and like running math for TV shows. And then I created TikTok content. I was at Clubhouse. So, and then I worked on a very scrappy startup where I was working with Twitch streamers. So I've seen it really does feel like physics to me, the algorithm and how human attention interacts with different algorithms on different platforms. It's like having a different gravity on Earth versus the moon. So one simple example is a LinkedIn post has very high gravity. LinkedIn has very high gravity. It's very illiquid attention. The likelihood of, if you reach 100 people, 80 of them are probably in your network or already looking at your content. On TikTok, it's probably 20 of them have seen your content before. 80 of them, first of all, it's probably going to be 100,000 for the same amount of lift, perhaps for LinkedIn. But you're going to get, 80% of that is going to be net new people. That's good and bad. You just got to use it for different things. TikTok is top of funnel reach, right? But it's not high intent at all. So LinkedIn is very unique, mostly in that it is the most mapped to real world status and wallet, like I talked about before. This means, in theory, you can niche down infinitely. And if your video only gets 50 likes, but those are all CROs from Fortune 500s, that is more valuable to me or to the company than a TikTok dance that got 50 million views. So I found it very frustrating when I was on TikTok that I couldn't tell, if someone asked me a question, I couldn't tell if they were a MBA from Mumbai or if they were a high schooler from Kansas or a PhD from Europe. Their profiles all the same.
Right.
Some of it is noise. Some of it is like a really high intent user, and I couldn't tell the difference. And there's too much volume to really be able to tell. The APIs are not great. LinkedIn data is also not from like a access and robustness of in-platform analytics. It's not the strongest, but in terms of the data that is self-reported and updated, very, very valuable. And that's the whole point of posting on LinkedIn, is that there's more signal here than noise than most platforms, especially for B2B.
What does that mean for the type of content you create on LinkedIn versus TikTok? Like, how should that, what you just said, inform how you're creating content on LinkedIn differently to other places?
Yeah, I think that means being disciplined about your content strategy and audience is like 10x more important. Meaning, you got to sit down and think about, who is your audience? Who are you going for? What are you trying to do for them? And why should they watch your content? And why are you the best person? What is the best go-to-market brand angle for you to reach them? And how do you show up in a way that they want to keep seeing you over and over again? And then sell them the product ultimately. That's what I mean by like ACV over CPMs. LinkedIn is it's still top of funnel technically if you think about it from like a CMO or a salesperson's perspective, but I'm a social guy. My entire world is top of funnel. So compared to TikTok, LinkedIn feels so precision accurate for me.
Right.
Like for me, it's more like scaled ABM than it is like really like general broad marketing.
And that's because you can see who is engaging, and I could see, okay, this is a CRO at a target account who just left a comment versus
Yeah.
some random username who I have
Correct.
no idea who's behind that.
We're at V1 of probably like I don't know, there's a lot of iterations to this, but our social listening machine, our sales reps get told when a named account in the pipeline likes a post from one of our execs or the company and what it's about. This is very easy to build nowadays with like Clay and like AI tech and social listening tools out there.
Yep. Optimization advises noise.
Yeah.
Talk to me about it.
Yeah, I'll admit that this is just kind of I don't know, it's not too much of an original take. I think there's a lot of, these are FAQs that I often have to like shoo away when people ask me about starting to post on LinkedIn. I think there's a lot of intangibles and feelings that keep people from posting, myself included, to be honest. So yeah, I'm speaking to that audience where it doesn't really matter. None of these things. These are all kind of cherry on top optimization. It's really more about, can you talk about something interesting and valuable from a business context while also being yourself? Like, and being yourself doesn't have to be this like weird vague thing. It's just like, when I read your content, does it feel the same as if I were to meet you and talk to you in person? That's kind of what I'm talking about with authenticity.
I think a good I think it was Ted Merritt who told me this. I think a good test is also, and this is also how you can tell both people wise but also brand wise.
Yeah.
Could anyone else copy paste the same thing that you just said and it works the same way? And if it is, then like that's not authentic, that's not you, that doesn't have personality, right? It's just some generic thing that anyone could just copy paste and people wouldn't be able to tell, right? And that could either be like something that's very uniquely brand voice yours, and if you know Salesforce would publish this Clay post, people would immediately see that just doesn't somehow that stands out. Or right, if you're as the founder of Clay in the early days, here's what we did, right? No one else could post that because like they're not the founder, right? But if you just post like, here's how you should run your outbound strategy, that could literally be posted by anyone.
Yeah, I think that's a great litmus test. Don't be commodified. I think if you're psychologically, we just anchor on metrics that algorithms put in front of you, right? But the algorithms put the data in front of you that serves them, right? It just like early day engagement is not really what you should go after, especially if you're posting generic, commodified, engineered hooks and content. That's building, you're losing the forest for the trees. Like, yeah, you're getting some performance lift in the beginning, but you're not building an audience that's unique to you. It's gonna be low intent audience.
Now we're running out of time here, so I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit. Designed by committee, is where bangers go to die. I'm just curious, are there any posts where you need to get approval that you want to post on the Clay page?
Oh, that's a good question. I actually, that's probably the favorite part of my job. I think I've gotten notes out of those like 1,000 posts. I've only gotten 3 notes ever.
What said, hey, take this down, or hey, you shouldn't have posted this?
Yeah, it was like, hey, like, I don't like the wording here. It makes it feel like, we're saying XYZ about the product. And there was another one where I posted some stupid meme and Bruno was like, hey, let's like start to frame our audience more as like RevOps instead of just like sales or like just like cold email. Let's like expand more. But yeah, like very minor notes. The only thing where we actually review are like fundraising announcements, obviously, because that's more like a press release. But yeah, I think Ooh, design by committee content. Like, so it's rest in peace. Great ideas. I think once you get too many cooks in the kitchen, really get diluted. And I think the way to solve for that is to clearly designate who the head chef is
Yeah.
for each individual creative initiative that
Yeah.
you do.
And that's where you need someone with taste. Now, your
Yeah.
tech stack, you mentioned Ordinal or used to be Assembly as your
Yeah.
scheduler. Claude project with a fat 5-page custom prompt. You promised people in the comments to share this fat 5-page prompt. I haven't seen that yet. So
Nah.
what's in there?
Yeah, it's nothing too special, I don't think. It's a style guide, tone of voice guide. It's a lot of ever growing like a do not do list
Yeah.
is huge. And then several templates for like for webinar promotion posts. Like we don't really need to reinvent the wheel every time
Yeah.
that we want to promote a webinar. But yeah, there's a lot of like jargony words, salesy words, or like AI slop words like it's not X, it's
Right.
Y. I tell them not to use that. Like iterating on this meta prompting process or meta prompting to iterate and get a good style guide. I fed it, transcripts of the founders talking. I fed it previous posts, and I say like, what are our values? What are our writing quirks? What are the things that you notice? And it, spits back a lot of things that you might not realize about yourself. Like we value giving other people credit a lot and shining the spotlight on other people a lot. So that's just something that goes into the prompt. We have AI make the style guide in the prompt, and then that prompt then tells the AI to write in a certain way. And then we have a few LinkedIn best practices in there as well.
Yeah. And you like Claude more than ChatGPT or Gemini?
Yeah. For creative writing, I've found Claude to be the best.
Yeah.
And I think that is a bit of a consensus. That being said, I've heard solid things about GPT-5 for writing as well, for cold email, for writing. And I haven't tinkered too much with it yet. So
we always run it through the three,
Yeah.
ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini, and it actually changes based on the changes that they're making to the model.
Nice.
So,
What have you noticed most recently?
we currently use ChatGPT.
Okay.
We
I'll
get
check it out. I'll check
strongest
it
there.
out. Yeah.
Cool, man. This was super, super insightful. Maybe, in 6 months you come back on and can break down, Varun's and Kareem's and everyone's growth there, but lots of nuggets
Yeah.
in there for people. Anything you feel like we should have covered but didn't? Any, question I should have asked but didn't?
There's probably a bunch, but well, we can save it for next time maybe.
There we go.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, Tim.
Awesome. Thank you. And if people want to check you out, I'll link down your LinkedIn profile and obviously Clay's website if people want to check that out if they haven't heard of Clay before. And that's it. Thank you for coming on.